New details about Ricky Nelson have shocked Hollywood, and fans everywhere are leaning in closely as long-hidden truths about his life, legacy, and tragic final moments begin to surface. For decades, Nelson has been remembered as one of America's most beloved teen idols, an actor, singer, and cultural icon who grew up in front of the world on the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. With his smooth voice, natural charm, and boy-next-door appeal, Ricky became one of the first major teenage heartthrobs of the rock and roll era. But behind the fame, behind the television smiles and chart-topping hits, Nelson lived a life far more complicated and painful than most people ever realized. And the latest revelations shedding light on his private struggles have left Hollywood stunned. These new details highlight the immense pressures he faced growing up as part of America's perfect family, the emotional isolation he quietly carried, and how the burden of fame shaped the choices that ultimately led to his tragic end. Though adored by millions, Ricky often felt overshadowed, misunderstood, and trapped in an identity that the public loved but he never fully embraced. In recent reports and unreleased interviews, close friends and insiders reveal that Nelson had long battled internal demons, pressure from the industry, conflicts within his family, and the struggle to stay relevant in a rapidly changing musical landscape. These revelations have brought an entirely new understanding to his final years, especially the period leading up to the plane crash on New Year's Eve 1985, which prematurely ended his life at just 45 years old. For nearly 4 decades, the cause of the fatal crash has been surrounded by rumor, controversy, and speculation, with theories ranging from mechanical failure to drug involvement. But the latest information, accounts from investigators, testimonies from people on the ground, and technical findings long overlooked, suggests a far more complex and heartbreaking chain of events. The new details confirm that Nelson had been working tirelessly to revive his career, touring aggressively, pushing himself emotionally and physically, desperate to prove that he was more than a nostalgic figure from Hollywood's golden age. His efforts were starting to show promise, yet the relentless pursuit also left him exhausted, financially strained, and more vulnerable than ever. What is most shocking to fans, however, is the emotional turmoil he carried during these final months. Fears of being forgotten, frustration over being misunderstood, and the pain of seeing his personal life placed under a microscope by tabloids eager to exploit his struggles. Friends say that despite these hardships, Ricky remained hopeful, determined, and deeply devoted to his children, who became the driving force behind his will to keep going. These new revelations paint a portrait not of a fading celebrity, but of a man fighting desperately to reclaim his life, his music, and his identity. The more people learn about what really happened behind the scenes, the more heartbreaking and inspiring Ricky Nelson's story becomes. Hollywood, long accustomed to dazzling surfaces and hidden truths, is now confronting the reality of a star who gave everything he had, only to be consumed by the pressures that fame created. Today, fans are revisiting his music, sharing memories, and realizing that Ricky Nelson's legacy is not defined by tragedy alone, but by the extraordinary resilience he showed throughout his life. These shocking new details remind us that behind every icon is a human being, one who loved, struggled, hoped, and fought until the very end. And for Ricky Nelson, the world is finally listening.